on my first ever QBD. It was a little bit hard, but it was my first ever time bossing. I've never done KBD, never done QBD, never done KQ, never done a Raxor, never basically done any bosses. So my first thoughts were, I know what to do. I'll go and kill Queen Black Dragon for my first boss kill. What a stupid idea that was. So while recording, it didn't record the sound, so I'm just gonna have to do a voiceover to this. So I'm sorry. That's basically what it is. So this is me starting off. I've got full Ganodermic, an Abyssal Wand, Aram's Book. I also have my Dig Site Pendant, which I'm going to be using to go and swap to my curses so I can get Reflect ranged, so that my it protects me a little bit against the range attacks that QBD does. I've got my Super Anti-Fire Potion, which you kind of need if you aren't going to use a Super Anti-Fire Shield or a Dragon Fire Shield. I've got Prayer Potions because I'm going to be using Protect one item, and my curses, obviously. I should have used Turmoil to actually try and boost my my magic attack when I was doing this. I've never actually come across a guide on here though with a magic, like a magic guide for Legacy. So I thought I'd give it a try because I couldn't find one on YouTube anywhere. I could only find magic guides for EOC. Now EOC magic is, personally, I think OP. With obviously the abilities, if you can get yourself up to 3/4 adrenaline and use your max ability, you can hit 8,000, 9,000, sometimes even more, depending on the spell, the gear. Obviously, if you're using Virtus and Arcane Stream, and a Seismic with dual wielding spells, you will be hitting a lot higher. Now with me, I was using Blood Barrage as my main hand and using Blood Barrage as my offhand. As I can show you here, I will be taking 5% damage and putting it against my own health. That kind of effectively makes everything a lot more faster for me. It heals my health as well as taking food. I don't know why I brought my Charming Imp with me at this point, because you don't really get the charms until you open up the box at the end anyway. I'm showing that I've got my extremes, like my extreme defense, extreme magic. I kind of needed them rather than an overload, because overloads kind of do attack, strength, defense, which kind of goes to waste in the end because you're not really using all three. So I thought them two would probably kind of match up to the same kind of spell. So I'm just going to bank my Dig Site Pendant and then get straight to QBD. This is my first ever kill. I've never done it before. You do need to have the quest done, which I think is, oh god, I've lost the name now. Legacy of Cassia Gaze, maybe? No, it's not that. Song from the Depths quest, and it's very much required because it reduces the damage that KBD does towards you. So it's kind of an essential quest that needs to be done. It's a novice quest. It can be done at most levels. I've done it on a level 60 before. I did it on this one when I was max. You're not really expected to kill QBD on the quest, so don't worry about that if you've never done it before. I'm just going to log world to a better ping world because I was getting quite a bit of lag. Barbarian Assault, pretty good world. Good to that one. Let's play. It's got a lower ping, so really you get less lag, you can go faster. Now, this was the most challenging thing I think I've ever done on RuneScape. I have killed a few bosses and stuff before, but only like quest bosses, like when you do how do I explain it? Like Majoret, and when you do Desert Treasure, obviously you've got like the 3 different bosses and stuff like that. I've only ever done stuff like Troll Stronghold, where you kill Dad. I actually did bring a familiar with me, my yak. Yak is the best one you can possibly have, but a War Tortoise or a Spirit Bird, or some people like to use a Unicorn because obviously it regens health over time. I personally find a yak better because obviously I can store food in it, and you should be able to do more than one trip if you take a yak. Although with Legacy I don't think that's quite possible because the mechanics are a lot harder for fighting. So kind of makes everything a lot more long-winded. People have been doing this on EOC in 90 seconds, a minute and a half. Yeah, that's mainly on EOC because obviously, like I said, with the adrenaline, as soon as you get 3/4 adrenaline, you are like hitting 3/4 of QBD's health all at once. So it kind of comes under as that, really. It can literally be done in a minute. On Legacy, it takes a lot longer because obviously you've not got the kind of, you can't hit 8,000 all at once because you're just stuck to your basic mechanics. You can come through this passageway with 50 agility. Other than that, you've got to go through the Cave of Grotworms, which is essentially a ball ache, basically. But yeah, this is me entering in for the first time. I was actually dreading it a little bit. So, first off, drink my super anti-fire. She's waking up. Extreme magic and extreme defense. Alright, zoom out so I can get a bit of a better view. That's better. Oh, I don't think I could have done this without Blood Barrage because basically you're getting 5% of your own health back, and when you're hitting stuff like 232s, you're healing yourself like 10s and stuff like that, which is not much really, but it all kind of adds up little by little. I personally think I was eating too much at the start because the first phase is actually the easiest. You're not really supposed to eat this much at the start, but I was a bit scared because obviously I've never bossed before. QBD probably being one of the hardest bosses, following Nex and currently Araxor, although I think Araxor is a lot easier than what people are making out. I think the only reason Araxor is so hard now is because people haven't quite worked out the mechanics for it yet. But I'm not saying it's an easy boss, but I think it's a lot easier than what people are making it out to be. Obviously at the moment it's a very, very good money making method, but you do need to be maxed and you do need good armour essentially, because I've watched the videos, I've watched the Twitch streams from RuneScape themselves. Some of the developers and stuff, even they can't really do it that well. But now this is where I messed up. If you look in the bottom left hand corner, it shows you a chat bar. It says the Queen Black Dragon summons one of her captive tortured souls. If you actually move to the left, just as she summons that, it actually kills itself because it puts its tortured soul pretty much next to you and it kind of feeds off you. If you run away from where it's going to be spawned, it just kind of kills itself in all fairness. So I kind of wish I would have done that, but I wasn't really paying much attention to the chat bar. I'll definitely be making sure I do that next time. Now, I'm not 100% sure whether you're supposed to kill a tortured souls, whether it does much good. At this point, I'd completely forgot about my prayers. I had only just a second turned them on. It's a bit bad really because obviously I didn't even have turmoil on at this point. I just had reflect range and save one item just in case I died. turmoil probably would have speeded things up a little bit. But I've taken out one load of a health bar already, and I'm currently on the second. These firewalls were just coming at me non-stop, and even when I was going through the gaps, I couldn't find like which space it was sometimes. But I was trying. I was still getting. You get hit 75, 150 if you run through it backwards, or if it just hits you. If you run through it, you get a hit a lot less. So at this point, I was getting a bit panicky because I had hardly any food. So luckily I had my beast of burden. Completely forgot that I stored him with rocktails, to be honest. So I was really panicking because I'd used 2 loads of the food. I was getting hit like mad. I was literally fooding non-stop. But I just finished his second phase, and the third phase is actually the hardest for anyone who's doing magic, as he is magic resistant when he turns blue, which doesn't actually happen for a while. Currently he's green, which is protect range, I believe. I could be wrong. Firewalls were coming left, right and centre, tortured souls, worms, and I just ran through all these firewalls, and I literally at one point had barely any health. I'd just eaten half an inventory of food, and I'd barely taken like a sixth of his health. So I try and pot up again, hopefully that they would help a little bit more, even though they hadn't really reduced by that much. Used a sneaky little prayer potion there because I saw my prayer going down a little bit. At this point, my blood barrage wasn't really doing that much for me. Took some more beast of burden. I now knew that I didn't really have much food left in my my familiar. Now he's turned blue, which means my attacks were doing a lot less damage. It essentially means that my blood burst wasn't really doing that much for me. Like, it wasn't healing me as good because I wasn't hitting as much. But he still found it hilarious to just keep throwing these walls at me. Luckily, when I was doing this, he didn't do time stop on me. Now, time stop is an awful attack where basically it stops everything. He can still attack, QBD can still attack, and the tortured souls can attack, the worms can attack. Only thing you can't do is eat or move. So basically you're stuck there until this time stop stops. And then you have to try and just hope, pray to God that you get a little bit of health by the time it's ended, then to just food up the best you can. Luckily I didn't get this on the third phase. Some people get it on the fourth, but it's predominantly on the third. So at this point I'll just finish off his third phase. So now I go to grab that third crystal, take the last bit of my beast and burden, and I thought, right, I've got less than an inventory of food now. This is going to be the hardest phase, in which it was, really. Luckily I take the tortured souls out pretty much straight away. They were damaging me at the start so badly of every single round. So I tried to take them out first just to see if that would help me a little bit. I now knew that I had like 11 food. So I was on so much low health, and he had a full health bar left. I was just praying that, I would hit high, because he just kept hitting these 250s, and I was just eating and eating and eating, and I thought, right, this game over. I'm gonna lose, basically. And out of somewhere, I was just pulling out these attacks. They seemed a lot faster than normal attacks. I did have my offhand spell on from the start, and I don't know why they weren't coming out this fast, unless it was just, I'm not entirely sure, but I was hitting high and I was hitting fast, and that's all I really needed at that point. He was throwing walls at me still. I knew I couldn't make it to the other side, but I was just running and running through him. At this point I had 3 food, and he still had essentially like maybe less than 1,000 life points, so I was just hitting and hitting and hitting, and at that point he died, and I thought, right, there's 4 tortured souls here, they can really hit high, I need to get to that gem, and I was clicking and clicking and clicking, but I was misclicking. I just made it just in time, with no food to spare. Last food had just gone. Clicked on the gem, and there we go. Everything disappeared, and I had defeated Queen Black Dragon. Climb down the stairs. And I'll just go to see what my loot is. Open it up. Now for some reason I kind of messed up a little bit here. I didn't put everything in my inventory at first. I should have really put the toaster straight in my inventory. Inventory was full. I didn't realise it was it's also a deposit box as well as a just a treasure chest. So I just thought I'd probably bank it all. Price check this stuff first, and it come to a total of, what was it again? 62k, so 66k, 74k. At this point, I tried to drop some stuff so I could try and tally it up with my toaster and stuff. But then I realised I'd already put the stuff in the bank, and then I'm like, oh, what's going on here? Keep clicking, just keep clicking. And I realised after a while, I deposited it into my bank. So the next move that I choose to do is teleport to Edgeville. So I go to my spell tab, home tally, and Edgeville. At this point, basically, in my life, I was shaking. I was like, yes, I had just defeated the Queen Black Dragon. I was a little bit proud of myself. Wasn't expecting that at all. I am going to be trying out a few other bosses in future. I might try and see if I can do King Black Dragon within the next day or two. Just going to look up a few more guides because he got updated not so long ago with some new loot. So he was a little bit harder to kill because obviously this new loot was priced up on the Grand Exchange. So I'm not sure. I know it's definitely soloable, but I'm pretty sure it's a little bit more expensive these days. So I'm going to my bank, get the 10 toastal out. And then go and price check again. And this is what I got from one trip to QBD. And it come to a total of 148k. Now I spent 100k on 50 rocktail, which we used between me and my familiar, between us both. So essentially I made 50k profit, which wasn't really that much. People have managed to kill that on like 3 or 4 food, so if you could do that you would make more profit in the long run. Not to mention if you get a draconic visage or a dragon kite shield, your drops will increase over time. You'll get more better, obviously, rewards and stuff. But 150k wasn't really a bad loot just from that kind of one kill. So I think that's everything now then, guys. So I think that's everything now. Cheers for watching. Like, subscribe, do your thing. And I will see you in my next bossing video. Peace out, enjoy gaming.